Welcome to the morning meeting with Mark and Sean and Dan. If you should think of a question, all you gotta do is raise your hand. With a presumption of grace to all, peace, love, and understanding during the call. Welcome to the morning meeting, where the best politics is at.
Where the best politics is at. Welcome in, everyone. We have an incredible show today with some elements that will astound you, some storylines that will confound you, and I don't know what the third thing is. Thank you for being here. This is the morning meeting. Dan, Sean, and I will take you through the day. We welcome your participation. If you'd like to be in on the conversation, please raise your hand. As it says on the sleeve of Dan's gorgeous, what is that, a fleece?
Yeah, no, it's like a dry fit.
Quarter zip. No smack in the chat.
I love that.
No smack in the chat. If you're watching on X or YouTube, please don't put smack in the chat. Dan, Sean, and Mark Halperin all outfitted today by our friends at Fairway and Green. If you'd like to wear something as nice as this, including with the morning meeting or two-way logo, as well as our catchphrases on your sleeves, go to Fairway.
Of course, you got to have sleeves, Mark.
Yeah, have sleeves. Go to tway.tv/fairway and Sean, they won't be paying.
Those are my favorite too.
They won't be paying full price. These are nice stuff. Use the promo code. Use the promo code TwoWay20 for 20% off your full purchase. Anything on the site, not just the great two-way merch, but please join your fellow two-way fans, community members, by going now and buying something. Makes wonderful Thanksgiving or Halloween gift. But we're grateful. We're grateful to our friends at Fairway and Green because. Guys, I've told you this before. When I go get dressed in the morning now, it's just I don't want to wear anything but my Fairway and Green stuff for the program. So very grateful. All right. Big day today. A lot of news committed yesterday, but being forward-looking, President of the United States, let's look at the pool coverage today at the White House because this is key because the president's having a press conference at 3 o'clock with the head of the FBI. Not really clear what their focus will be, and sometimes they say it's a press conference, and they don't actually take questions, but that could provide a lot of stuff. CBS, the TV pool, Newsmax, the other TV pool, Bloomberg Government, the secondary print, along with Time Magazine, Washington Free Beacon. Expect a lot there. The other thing the president's doing is holding a ballroom dinner at 7:30 tonight. Sean, you going to that one?
I may have a conflict.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anyway, so 3 o'clock is the press conference, and of course we'll have full coverage of that on two-way tonight. Don't know what the vice president's doing today, except being very online, as the kids say. We'll talk about that in a moment. 9:15. So in just a few minutes, Scott Bessent and Jamison Greer, the USTR head, are holding a press conference to talk about the president's economic policies. I have a sense that it will relate to both the shutdown in China, since those are the two things Bessent hit hard yesterday or this morning on CNBC. We'll show you that. Pete Hegseth is at a NATO defense ministers meeting in Brussels, talking about Ukraine. House is out. The shutdown continues, as was pointed out online today. New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, hard copy editions. No coverage of the shutdown. It's the shutdown that's not happening. But it is. Mike Johnson, another 10 a.m. press conference. It's like clockwork. If you want to know when it's 10 o'clock, you can wait till the end of the morning meeting, or you can just look on C-SPAN for a Mike Johnson press conference. Jeffries has his own press conference at 11:30. Black Caucus press conference to talk about the Supreme Court. We'll talk about that in a minute. At 1:30, Hakeem Jeffries has another press conference on healthcare at 3 o'clock. Supreme Court's hearing a Louisiana voting rights case today, which we don't know when they'll rule on it, but the expectation is they'll rule on it perhaps in a timely enough fashion that it would affect close to 20 House seats in redistricting, above and beyond all the states you've already heard about in terms of redistricting. And the question is the country done allowing states to, or requiring states in some cases, to have what are called minority majority districts that all but ensure a Hispanic or Black candidate wins the seat? Very big case.
Democrat.
Yeah, Democrat. Yeah. Usually there'd be Democrats. Not necessarily. Sean, your party could compete vigorously in those districts if you chose to. Mr. Mamdani, on the eve of the first of two expected general election debates, Mr. Mamdani goes into the lioness den. Martha McCallum is interviewing him on Fox at 3. I think it's a taped interview. I don't know that, but for some reason I think that is. Kamala Harris is in North Carolina today
By the way, Mark, I wonder if he goes into the Fox building and if he
Yeah.
engages on social media about going into that headquarters.
I feel, I feel like I saw a clip and they did it like in a hotel suite, but maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong. I might have imagined
I gotta say,
it.
I agree with Dan from a governance standpoint. It's good. I think this is one of those high risk, low reward. Like he doesn't need Republican voters.
Totally agree.
I think this is like Trump going in to smack Dems. I think he's going to go in because his base will not get upset if he gets into a fight the way Harris did with Brett Baer.
Yeah, but getting into a fight with Martha McCallum is not like getting into a fight with Jesse.
Guys, the average person has no idea. It's him against Fox.
Dan, tell me, because I agree with Sean. Tell me what the clip is that's good for him. What happens? Martha says, "Do you support legal prostitution?" Or
no? And
would you
know
really?
What he's going to do? Yeah. You asked me the other day, is it good for Democrats to be indignant and fight the media? And I said no, and you said yes in the base.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wait, what's the issue? What's the issue that would be ideal for him to fight Martha on?
So, okay, take your question about prostitution.
Yeah.
When I walk the streets of New York, nobody asked me about. You want to talk about prostitution, because it sounds good.
But then why did you
want to talk about cost of living?
But I'm asking you about a position you took, Mr. Mamdani. You're still a sponsor of the bill.
This is not a question that average New Yorkers care about. And then he's going to pull what
if average New Yorkers don't care about it, sir, why is that your position on a bill that you're supporting?
I come on Fox News, and all you want to do, he's going to pull it. No, Mark, you can't wave it away. If it's good for JD Vance and
I thought you were breaking character.
Here's what I want to be clear on. Yeah. If he picked Jesse Waters or Sean Hannity and went and had that fight and said, you know what? Then I'm with you. Martha McCallum is not a lightning rod.
Guys, the average New Yorker has no idea. They have no.
I know, but going after
Martha
is not an aggressive. And I don't mean that like she's a journalist.
But Dan, I think what Sean and I are saying is we can see that the downside could be, and while you're positing an upside, it just doesn't seem close. Like at this point, he's got a huge lead. Here's my view. He's got a huge lead. He's got to get through the debates. Why take a risk?
Right.
Because I think it's a sign of look, again, I'm not a Mamdani voter.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm impressed about is he is kind of willing to go anywhere. Again, this is the Trump thing.
Yeah.
Like, why does he go on Meet the Press?
Yeah.
Why does he do it?
I hear you. Kamala Harris, 7:00, Durham, North Carolina, Performing Arts Center for her book tour. Where's the book on Amazon now? And where was it in the New York Times the second week? Somebody check. I keep meaning to check.
I've been checking Leland Vittert. I have not checked.
Yeah, Leland Vittert was number 4 with a bullet. Bernie Sanders and AOC on CNN today with a Caitlin Collins town hall, 9 p.m.
By the way,
Democratic Party.
I got to tell you, and full disclosure, I do have a contributorship with News Nation. But after they announced that they were doing this town hall tonight, it's a Cuomo, Stephen A. Smith, Bill O'Reilly town hall. Days later, CNN tried to counter program it. And I only say that because from a media landscape standpoint, the way I interpret this was CNN was threatened by News Nation. And I think that says a lot about where we are. The idea of doing, we got to counter program News Nation's town hall. Maybe you guys disagree with me. And again, I will admit my bias on this, but I just found it a little odd to see CNN trying to counter program a News Nation showing.
I think it might have just reminded them that they've had some traction in the buzz with the town halls. I don't know that they do a huge number, but they might have forgotten. All right, Kamala Harris on Amazon is number 2.
That says a lot, by the way. We talked about this. I give her a lot. I mean,
totally.
I don't know
hats off. I don't know who's buying the book. That's what everybody asked me. Who's buying the book? I don't know, but it's doing very well. All right, Hamas, Israel. I could rattle off 7 things. I'll try to do it. That suggests the deal's not going well. The remains have not been returned. Israel's cutting off some of the aid in retaliation. There's gang violence, and the president yesterday said we will disarm Hamas if they don't self-disarm, which is like self-deportation. But the biggest issue to me, and I talked about this with my dad on Next Up last night or yesterday, is the peacekeeping force. There've been countries floated, but it's very difficult to stand up a peacekeeping force without the UN or NATO. It's just kind of like an ad hoc thing. What's the president's thing that he's the chair of? The Committee for Peace? Is that what it's called? So, Sean, if the president put you in charge of standing up You got 200 American forces. He said, Sean, I want you to go around the world like a junior Witkoff and set it up. The Arab Gulf countries will fund it. How would you set that up? And how would you determine what the rules of engagement were? Like, can they shoot people? You know, are they going to carry guns? Like, weapons? How would you set that up?
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Hey, is Jared around? I need Jared. Hey, I got a question for you.
How would you?
Mark's asking me something live.
How would you set it? How would you just say, okay, we need X number of people from Y number of countries, and again, like what would their mission be? Like, would you say your mission is disarm Hamas, go take their weapons?
I mean, this is yeah. I mean, look,
my dad, who did peacekeeping in the Clinton Pentagon, is very skeptical that they can.
I'm more than skeptical because it's a dual mission. One is peacekeeping, which is in itself, and then there's the rules of engagement, the ROEs. What can you do? When can you do it? What has to happen against you? And getting multiple forces to agree to that is not an easy task. To your point, then your second mission is actually disarmament. And there are different groups that do this, and so you've got to find people that can do it, are willing to do it, whose countries are going to allow that. I mean,
so how are they going to get it done? Because Dan, to me, this is like it's maybe a perfect metaphor, and I rarely come up with them. During the Obamacare debate, they had this thing in the bill that was like this committee. Sarah Palin would call it death panel. It was a committee of people to say, here's what will be covered, right? And Gene Sperling and all the other economic geniuses said this plan will not work unless we have that committee. Like the model of how we're going to control costs with Obamacare is there's this group of people that say, okay, there's this new pill you take, it makes you taller, it's not covered. There's this new pill that makes you shorter, it is covered. To me, it's the same thing. This plan doesn't work without a peacekeeping force, and everybody I'm talking to, including your esteemed colleague here, it's just like it's hard to imagine how they're going to stand that thing up.
This has been the thing that we've talked about since this summer, which is who's going to do it and who's going to pay for it. And I've repeatedly said the one country that has the two countries with the sophistication and the capability are the Israelis and the Americans. And neither of them, one isn't a good look. You can't have Israel doing it. And obviously we as a country would not probably support such a thing. And the risks would be astronomical. Look, I think it's the same way you probably got some of these people to the table. You're going to have to buy people off, and you're going to have to probably go and say, we will drop all the tariffs against you, and we will backdoor munitions to you and intelligence and other capabilities to support your troops. But even then, you look at the photos of Gaza, it's leveled. I mean, it's like World War II, when we went in with the Russians and Berlin was just flattened. To go and get all these weapons out, there's tunnels everywhere, and you still have the fact that a significant part of Hamas does not want this to end. Yeah. So I think the question is patience and perseverance.
Well said, but I will also say in the countervail, and then we're going to move on to talk about China. Like Playbook this morning described the president's peace plan as hanging by a thread. Like the press is now already saying we're raising questions that are very important, but they got the first part done, so we shouldn't be writing them off. They could do this.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's not impossible, but there are big challenges. All right, China.
Well, by the way, to put a full pin in your thing, I think they need to find somebody like an Admiral McCraven or somebody that comes in and says, "Hey, totally. I will be the like." But I think you've also got to balance this because Iraq, we went in and we're like, hey, we'll be.
That's why I said mission accomplished.
No nation building
authority, right?
You don't want nation building. But I totally agree with you. I had this thought yesterday. Like they need Schwarzkopf. They need somebody who flies to all these capitals and say, here's a check from the Saudis, Mr. Indonesia General. I need 400 people. And then they got 40 from Indonesia, and then 400, and then they got to write all the rules of engagement. It's complicated.
Well, and don't underestimate too. And I've said this before, just like with Iraq, Iran and others, I am sure, are figuring out how to go in and destabilize this. You have a region that does not want this.
All right, we're 2 weeks away from the start of the APEC meeting in South Carolina, where President Trump and President
South Korea.
Thank you, South Korea. What I say?
South Carolina.
South Korea. That'd be cool if it were there. China betting. This is Wall Street Journal. China betting it can win a trade war is playing hardball with Trump. my view, based on reporting, is that they're just trying to get to this meeting. Sean has raised this for weeks. Just trying to get to the meeting, a mini deal at the meeting, and lay the groundwork for a subsequent meeting at a time TBD. But between now and then, they got to finesse all the complexities. Here's Scott Besson on CNBC this morning talking about China 111.
I think that things can de-escalate, that we don't want to have to escalate. We have things that are more powerful than the rare earth export controls that the Chinese want to put on. And sir, to be clear, this is China versus the world. It's not a US-China problem. Good news is that this is IMF week. A lot of my counterpart, or all my counterparts, are here. We're going to be speaking with our European allies, with Australia, with Canada, with India, and the Asian democracies. And we're going to have a fulsome group response to this, because bureaucrats in China cannot manage the supply chain or the manufacturing process for the rest of the world.
As we said, Secretary of War Hegseth is meeting with allies. Dan, the reason the president got the deal in the Middle East done is because he is a brilliant coalition builder. Despite his critics who say he's dividing the world and alienating our allies, he built a huge coalition with Turkey and Britain. I mean, everybody. And now, as Secretary Besson said, they're trying to do that with China, and they're also trying to do it with Russia. To not just say here's the U.S. giving tomahawks. It's basically everybody is giving tomahawks. So Dan, is Donald Trump, contrary to the left's view of him, actually a master coalition builder?
We don't know yet, because I think the Middle East was the perfect set of conditions for him, because I said this yesterday. A lot of those governments in the region are very transactional. And so he was able to, do business with them to provide them AI centers and things of that nature. The challenge, as we've talked about, is, at least as of today, the Indians, the other Asian countries don't speak about a friendly relationship with us and in a positive nature of cooperation. They're livid about the tariffs. A lot of the supply chain is moving out of China, and they want to move it into Vietnam and other places. So we've always said this. If your goal is to surround China, then it's like, what can I do for you? And I think perhaps Besson and Trump have a plan for that. But so far, you don't hear a lot of comments that are very positive.
Sean.
Well, I will say, I think bringing all of Europe together and showing success on this peace plan has really sort of probably helped the overall idea of like, hey, we actually can get stuff done using the tactics of President Trump, which is what they've largely sort of ignored. Kind of saying, okay, well, let's do it economically now. By the way, I think that's the first time anyone's ever said it's a good thing it's IMF week, ever. So I don't know that anyone's ever referred to IMF week as a good thing. And anyone who's been downtown DC when the World Bank or IMF meet know that that's not a good thing.
That's as exciting as Scott Besson gets, is what you're
right. Exactly. Yay. But I do think that I look, the bigger and broader point is, I think that they understand that we've got to get a deal with China. And that I think one of the things that I hope keeps coming out is that we better understand that, like, long-term wise, being tethered to them and dependent on them, rare earth stuff is the tip of the spear on, like, our independence. Like, if we can't do that, it's AI, it's chips, it's cars, it's computers, it's phones, boom, 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 boom.
All right, we got to pick up the pace because we got a bunch of stuff to get to. Again, if you want to be on the conversation, please raise your hand. Another test vote on the shutdown today. For those listening on the podcast, I'm doing air quotes on test vote because no one expects it to test anything. Now the Senate's thinking about trying to pass, as we've talked about here, defense appropriations to try to sort of it's unclear. Some people say it's a slap in the face. Other people say it's a bid for unity. We'll see. Either of you have anything interesting to say about the shutdown? If not, we're moving on.
No, I just think they've got to put the foot on the pedal. Thune's got to stop discussing it and just saying we're doing it.
I think nothing happens until both sides think there's an action forcing item coming up that's going to make the other side uncomfortable. And we're going to see.
Yeah.
Like a No Kings rally.
Scott Besson says he's narrowed the Fed chair list to 5. And we'll give and after Thanksgiving, he'll give the president 3 or 4 candidates to interview,
including Scott Besson.
No, redistricting. We mentioned the Supreme Court case. I will say the California thing now is even deader for the Republicans than it was before. We've talked in the past about how they're having trouble raising money. And we've talked about the opposite of the virtuous cycle. Virtuous cycle is when you are doing well, you get positive press stories, you raise more money, you report that you're raising more money, you get more stories, etc. It's the opposite. They're raising no money, and no Republican now wants to put money in it because they think they're going to lose. So either of you have anything you want to say about redistricting, except we all agree the Supreme Court thing is a big deal.
Oh yeah, it's a big deal, and I will just say this: that it, like on my side of this, the way the press is framing the Voting Rights Act is ridiculous. Like I live in Virginia, I vote in Virginia. The lieutenant governor of Virginia and the nominee of the Republican Party is a black female. The heart of the Confederacy. We're about to, I believe, elect the first female black woman in the history of Virginia. The idea of the Voting Rights Act was to create more opportunities for minorities to participate. Virginia stands at the forefront of that right now. The point that you made at the beginning, just to be clear, majority minority districts benefit the Democratic Party. If you
But
think
they don't
about
have to, Sean. They don't have to.
Sure, fair enough. But think about where the black Republicans are elected: Burgess Owens in Utah, Byron Donalds in Florida, right? Going all the way back.
Go recruit great candidates and win the districts.
Okay, but they're drawn to be Democrat districts, not minority districts. My point is that you look at how the Republican Party offers opportunity versus the Democrat. I'm just saying the idea that we're gutting the Voting Rights Act is just ridiculous.
I agree with you. All right. These group texts, raise your hand if you're here on the platform. Raise your hand if you know about this story from Politico about the Republican group texts. You guys know about this story?
I saw it yesterday.
Some people did. Yes. All right. So a bunch of jerks wrote really improper stuff in the chat about Hitler and
back in the chat.
They put a lot of smack in their group chat. They wrote about Hitler and gas chambers and slavery and rape and racially insensitive things. Okay, horrible. And they're not really denying their authenticity. They're playing the game of sort of claiming, oh, maybe they're not real. But people have already lost their jobs over it. Once again, we're back to the pre-2024 dynamic where reporters seem to really like getting people fired. But excuse me. Sorry. Kathy Hochul is amongst the Democrats speaking out, saying how outrageous this is and demanding everybody be fired. 106, please.
These are the future of the Republican Party. This was so vile. It is hard to find the words to put into context that these are people who are part of a political party, one of two major political parties, and they believe.
Okay, enough.
In gas chambers.
The Republican position is, if you guys won't condemn the Attorney General nominee of your party, Democrats, for his texts, an adult trying to be Attorney General of a state, how can you expect us to condemn this? J.D. Vance leading the way, 107 on Twitter. This is far worse. He's talking about the Attorney General candidate in Virginia. This is far worse than anything said in a college group chat. And the guy who said it could become the AG of Virginia. I refuse to join the plural clutching when powerful people call for political violence. So what many people are saying in response to vice presidents, you can condemn both. You can condemn both. So Dan, so far this story hasn't really been picked up by other outlets, including not very much on cable, as best I can tell. Is this just a political exclusive and it will die away as a news story, or do you expect this to grow bigger?
I think it can only grow if there's like a publicly elected official or a chief of staff to a member, somebody of stature who was a part of this. But I do think, though, J.D. Vance kind of had a little more to say. He did try to downplay it a little bit more in other, I think in another post. I mean, look, you just have to use the common sense test. It's just shocking, crazy, and absurd. And just like Jay Jones,
and this is
crazy.
And these are younger people, although they're not all college students. Some of them are, out of college and in jobs, and they're active in the College Republicans, which is a group
young Republicans.
Young Republicans. Sorry, not college Republicans. Young Republicans. And Sean, I'm sure you'll condemn their texts, but will this grow as a story?
I mean, I feel, first of all, yes, I could. It's like the idea of putting stuff in a text. It's this stupid. I don't know if it's more stupid or more offensive. Like, to me, the idea of when you write something, like either you really believe that and then you really are more, like, that's a problem, right? That if you actually believe what you're saying in those texts, then yes, it's unbelievably offensive. You should be canceled if you actually believe that crap. If you're trying to be funny, then it's really stupid. The idea that you would make these kind of comparisons on any of these subjects is offensive. So I think it's stupid. It's offensive. It's the culmination of both of those things. And it scares the crap out of me as a father. I talk to my kids all the time about like when you put stuff, it doesn't die, right? And it scares the crap out of me. I said so many stupid things well through college that, thank God we didn't have phones then. But you kids can't do this now. So I feel like this is what worries me about the next generation. That being said, to your point, in context, the idea that Politico went out, I didn't even know that this app exists. Telegraph, or is it Telegram? Telegram?
Sean, don't go down this path. It's exposing ignorance.
My point is
very popular. Very
is
popular.
it?
Very popular.
Okay, well, again, I'm 54-year-old dude. I don't really,
Yeah,
I barely can turn my computer on.
Understood.
But the point is that like the idea of saying that Kathy Hochul's getting out there commenting on this, and you have the attorney general nominee of the Democratic Party, hold on, who is literally saying, "I want to kill the Speaker of the House," and then watch his wife hold
all
their
I've asked is the story going to grow?
Oh, well, no. I mean,
no.
I don't think so, because it's not, unless to Dan's point, if there's somebody who gets involved in it that's important,
Yeah. Long rumored. I mean, what the Democrats are doing now is trying to match up all these young people with people like Mike Lawler. Long discussed.
In fairness, that's okay.
Well, yeah. I condemn it all. How's that? Yeah. Long discussed. You don't need to put that up. Long discussed. Seth Moulton, veteran congressman, former presidential candidate, you might have forgotten, has decided to primary Ed Markey in Massachusetts in the Senate race. Here's a bit of his announcement video, please, number 108.
But we also have to talk about the things we don't want to, like how Democrats have failed to stop Donald Trump's harmful, racist agenda. Our party has clung to the status quo, insisted on using the same old playbook, and isn't fighting hard enough. We're in a crisis, and with everything we learned last election, I just don't believe Senator Markey should be running for another 6-year term at 80 years old. Even more, I don't think someone who's been in Congress for half a century is the right person to meet this moment and win the future. Senator Markey's a good man, but it's time for a new generation of leadership. And that's why I'm running for U.S. Senate.
All right,
we've got to look in the mirror and be honest.
Mandatory entrance and exit question. Who will the Democrats nominate for United States Senate? Ed Markey or Seth Moulton? Danny boy.
Markey.
Sean.
Markey.
All three. Markey.
But by the way, I want to just add, this really complicates Maine.
Why?
It's real because they're going to be running ads in that Boston market hits Maine about age and turning the page. Janet Mills is 77 years old.
Which of the candidates got out of the race? I read somewhere that somebody got out who said they weren't going to get out.
Not Graham Prather. That dude's
not him. But did the other business guy, the person who got out?
I'm not sure.
All right.
By the way, two quick points on the Markey thing. When he ran the last time, the reason I say this, where I live in Rhode Island in the summer, we get, you run on Providence Media. He had AOC come in and endorse him, and it was actually the most pathetic ad for
It was horrible.
But I'll say this one quick little pro tip to Seth Moulton's team. If you're going to talk about somebody's age, don't film an ad in your grandfather's house. And then
I agree. At least he didn't wear a tie, although I didn't love the shirt. All right, we're going to skip Jack Smith. We'll talk about it maybe some other time if he talks again. Katie Porter is still the front runner to be the next governor of California. Although Politico had a story showing that her fellow politicians who know her well are not rallying around her. The groups who have endorsed her, labor and other groups, are. None of the other candidates have really stepped up and shown that they can take the mantle away from her. Yesterday, she decided to do her first interview since those two older videos were released showing her losing her temper, in one case at a staffer, and behaving in a tetchy manner with a reporter. In this case, doing an on-camera interview with another local California TV reporter, she was under a lot of pressure to show good temperament. The reporter decided, a fan of two-way, decided to test Katie Porter's capacity to not lose her cool by showing her a video of someone criticizing Katie Porter.
Oh, that's God, wow.
All I want you to do while you watch this video is do the stream of consciousness in your own mind of what Katie Porter was thinking while she listened to this video. Please roll the instant classic 110.
Longtime Democratic strategist Dan Turrentine on his show on the two-way app had this to say. We're going to play it for you and then have you react on the other side.
Who Katie Porter is. I spent a lot of time around that office. For those who don't know, she went to Harvard Law School. Elizabeth Warren was one of her professors. She considers herself kind of an acolyte of Elizabeth Warren. She is condescending and patronizing. She absolutely believes that she is right. You are wrong. She's smarter than you. It comes across. So, you have to start with, Mark, the fact that, like, you have to sit and ask questions and have respect for the person who's asking you questions. She doesn't respect Trump voters, and she didn't respect those type of questions. You just can't talk to people like that. And that is Katie Porter's problem. It's why so many people dislike her.
Your response to that?
I'm working hard to make sure that Californians know what kind of governor I'm going to be. A governor who's going to fight. My style may not be as soft as some people's. I understand that. People who know me know I can be tough, but we are in a tough moment. The consequences for Californians right now, for ordinary families, are real, and I'm hearing about those. So I'm going to make sure that we're pushing, that we're fighting back. I'm not going to be someone who's going to bend to kind of curry political favor when I don't think it's in line with California's values. So I've had a track record of talking to and winning Republicans and campaigning in Republican territory. I want to win the vote of every Californian I can. But am I going to sell out California's values?
This isn't selling out California's values. This is calling your character and how you treat people into question.
Well, as I've said, Nikki, I know, I've watched those videos, and I absolutely understand that I could have done better. I'm willing to hold myself to account for that.
So Dan also mentioned Elizabeth Warren in that she's a mentor of yours. Have you heard from her?
I have not.
Have you heard from any other Democrats? Have they reached out to you?
Yes, of course.
Who has reached out to you?
Well, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head because I've gotten lots of text messages in the last, as you might expect.
What did they say? Words of support? Can you give me anything specific?
Well, I mean, as you've seen publicly, many of the groups that support me, groups like the Teamsters, have said that they're proud to stand with me because they know I'm going to fight for California, that they know I'm going to be tough, that they think what's needed is a level of strength of character in this moment. So I think there's been a lot of those comments. I think everybody understands, and I've certainly acknowledged to everyone who's reached out to me, as I am now, that I could have done better. But I'm in this race to make sure that we have a governor who's not going to sit back, who's not going to sit quietly, because we are in a moment where we have to tackle our affordability crisis and we have to withstand the harms that Trump is throwing at California.
All right. Great job by Nikki Lorenzo of Inside California Politics. Fabulous. I have a lot of thoughts about that, but Dan, you first. Thoughts?
Well, when this was first raised to my attention, I was a little embarrassed about how I described her, to her face here. But I will say this, I stand by what I said. I very much believe what I said to be true. And I will say that I, too, heard from a lot of people in D.C. who said, you're absolutely right. But it was a little embarrassing. First time I've learned anything I say on here, make sure you're willing to say it to someone's face. So,
yeah, well, you basically did. Sean, first, just your meta thought about. I'm a big fan in interviews of showing the interview subject videos. I think it's brilliant. So good job by her. But just your thoughts about the whole meta aspect of it.
I mean, first of all, I felt like it was one of those. Remember the guy was Jeff Rossen or something? He's like to catch a predator and walk in and be like, "Here's a." Like I felt like it was like the way they did it was beautiful. One, two. To your point, I didn't know Nikki Lorenzo before. I thought her style was fantastic. Very good at bringing out the elements of that. So I give her a lot of credit as a reporter. Three, I will say. Our own production team, the way that we just showed that was fantastic. Kudos to the team internally, because watching we got to see it from how she saw it. So
Yeah.
really good job from our own team, because I loved.
Just to be clear, when they showed it originally, they didn't put Dan's video on there. You just heard the audio. So
Oh, really? But
yeah,
for
yeah.
us
Well,
to
they
see
moved
her,
the screen to show her.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
right.
eh,
But for us to see how she reacted, that
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. Look, I will say it was funny because if you watch The Shadow, and I know people on the podcast might know the others, but there's someone moving through the background. I almost waited for Katie Purder to say, "Get out of my shot."
Yeah. Oh, that's not a shot. Paul, play it one more time.
Oh, and the last thing, Mark,
yeah,
I will say this. You brought this up the other day. This is exactly the point that you made, which is you can show everybody knows the answer, which is like why, we talked about why Joe Biden didn't go out and do this. She can't. And that was the answer that yesterday we realized this is not.
Yeah. So I give her credit because that's not how she wanted to react or how she would have reacted had they not told her. In your first interview, you can't do anything, unseemly. I'll just play it back to when she's watching Dan. Forward to that. Tell me if I'm right. I feel like she starts to
long
blink.
time.
I feel like she starts to blink a lot.
herself.
If I'm right, if she starts, that's how she's channeling her uncomfortableness. See if I'm right. Good.
Time around that office. For those who don't know, she went to Harvard Law School. Elizabeth Warren was one of her professors. She considers herself kind of an accolade of Elizabeth Warren. She is condescending and patronizing. She absolutely believes that she is right. You are wrong. She's smarter than you. It comes across.
Am I right? She's blinking
So,
more, right?
You have to start with, Mark, the fact that, like, you have to sit.
I just would love to know her stream of consciousness. I'd love to know what the staff was thinking.
Oh, no. I want to see her texts from like an hour afterwards. Turrentine, I want him.
Yeah. Let's dip into Scott Bessent just to see what he's saying, and then we'll go to your questions.
I don't think I'm going to get a holiday card from her.
You never know. You might have saved her.
So with that, I want to say thank you. Good morning to all of you. It's a shame we can't have more people here, but I believe that the Democrats will come to their senses soon. Maybe it's after this no kings thing, but no kings equal no paychecks. Before we start on Q&A, I'd like to make a few points on China. As the president said, we want to help China, not hurt it. If some in the Chinese government want to slow down the global economy through disappointing actions and through economic coercion, the Chinese economy will be hurt the most. And make no mistake, this is China versus the world. They have put these unacceptable export controls on the entire world. China is a command and control economy, and we and our allies will neither be commanded nor controlled. They are a state economy, and we are not going to let a group of bureaucrats in Beijing try to manage the global supply chains. As Ambassador Greer said, we had a document and an agreement in Geneva, and magnets were flowing quite well. Some U.S. auto companies have called us in the past week and said that there had been a slowdown in magnets. So when we asked the Chinese,
all right, we'll keep
about
monitoring
this,
this.
they said,
We'll keep monitoring
it probably had something to do with the holiday.
Let's go to your question.
By the way, that sounds like other countries
So-
describing our tariffs. Just
Yeah, it's true.
The irony of
call.
that.
As you come in, tell us, unmute, tell us where you are, what's on your mind. We'll start with Kay. Kay, welcome.
how's the Caribbean today, Kay?
Well, it's beautiful today. Absolutely beautiful today. The water's like a swimming pool.
The
It's
leaves
great.
aren't turning.
No, well, actually, we've had a lot of rain, so it's very green right now.
that's
But
too
no,
bad.
we don't have that beautiful New England foliage. But I'm in St. Thomas, and I actually have two things, but I'll just do one since you're running through this. Katie Porter, as a native Californian, and someone who does crisis and gets called in on these kinds of cases, I noted the blinking as well, Mark, and that was a sign that she was incredibly uncomfortable. It was almost like she was getting hit every time she blinked. She has an unpleasant resting face. Anyways, that would have to be fixed. There are no steps that she's outlined to rectify this. She doesn't seem to be internalizing blame. at all for any of this, and hasn't accepted full responsibility. I don't know if y'all remember back in the day, there used to be an article, I think it was in the Hill Roll Call, something along those lines, where they would talk about those offices that had the biggest
Yeah.
revolving doors.
Yeah.
Never a good sign for a revolve. And I bet that she would be in one of the top offices with a revolving door. She seems reactionary. She felt desperate in the interview. And she's definitely not used to hard questions. Nikki did a brilliant job. And somebody needs to media train her and get her on some message points that
That's
that
not
could
happening.
rectify this. I know it's not. She'd be tough to media train. I don't know. I just wanted to get y'all's thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big challenge for her is Capitol Hill, as you and Sean and Mark know, is a very small place, and staff talk to each other, they socialize with each other, after hours, and people talk, right? So you hear about how people treat, each other, what bosses are like. And at the same time, members of Congress talk. They too go out. A lot of them live together. They, despite what people think, D's and R's do, talk to each other and share stories. There's a lot of meetings where staff are present and where staff aren't present. And the reporter, Nikki, got to it. A lot of members of Congress don't care for Katie Porter, and a lot of staff have horror stories of working for her. So the challenge is you add it all up, and there's a lot of there. And I think she even admits there may be some more shoes to drop. I think there will be more videos and there are going to be more stories.
Yeah. Sean.
Yeah, I agree. Look, this is a pattern, right? It's not a one-off, somebody having a bad day, which happens. This is someone who, this is part of their DNA. And you saw from that interview, she's not backing away from it. And I get it. I don't know that there's another way to handle that, right? Which is just sort of lean into it a little and say, you know what, I'm tough. I have high standards and I'll continue to fight. And that's who I am. And if you want someone who's going to fight for, I actually think that was the smart tactic, to lean into it and to be like, this is who I am. I will fight. I will never back down, blah, blah, blah. That's the smart thing. But she does have to understand, to Dan's point, that this is a liability because it's not just about your staff. It's about the interactions that she has. When she starts hearing, it's one thing to be tough on your staff and say, hey, yeah, I have demands because I was elected. I'm going to fight, blah, blah, blah. But when your colleagues start coming out and saying, yeah, she's equally mean to people on her peer group, that's going to be a problem because now you have to say, can you govern like that?
Yeah.
Or worse, constituents.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Kate,
Yeah.
thank you. Awesome.
Thank
Grateful
you.
to you. Very well said. Good list. All right, Michael, welcome in. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind for Dan and for Sean.
Hey guys, a comment and then a question. The comment was, I was so impressed with that last Virginia gubernatorial debate, the moderators there. And if we could get moderators asking questions like that and follow-ups at the national level, it would be great. My question is, the Free Palestine crew were very loud and vocal until this week. And I'm wondering your thoughts on just the silence. It's either they're happy or they would have had a press conference or something that would have said, like, we're happy that it's at this stage, but there are certain things that we want to see done. But there's just been complete silence.
Yeah, it's a great question, especially when you had Palestinians celebrating in the street that there was a deal, right? So it's not like you're following the lead of the people that you're championing. By most accounts, the average Palestinian was thrilled that there was a peace deal and that they could go home. So their silence speaks even more that who are you defending? What are you not happy with? And why can you not just state this is a good thing?
Sean.
Yeah, I think that we talked about this the other day. I think there's an element of like a pause, like they don't know whether to celebrate. Like they're waiting to figure out, is this deal going to hold? Who can we blame? But I am amazed that if you actually care about this stuff and everybody else signed off on it, you should be happy too. So it is sort of it's almost worthy of like some kind of college seminar course. Like why did this not happen, and what's the takeaway? Because I'm not sure we're done with this yet in terms of their reaction.
Yeah, Michael, thank you. Grateful to you. Okay. Carlton, welcome in. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind for Dan and for Sean.
Oh, you're muted, Carlton.
Good morning, and thank you for calling on me. I really appreciate it. This is a fantastic platform. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I am not able to access it on a regular basis in the morning, but I try to catch up later in the day when I can. I think you all three are doing just a great service for the nation.
Thank you.
I have to set my thoughts first. I never voted for Donald Trump. I voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, not because I thought she was great, but because she wasn't Donald Trump. I voted for Joe Biden in 2020, not because I thought he was going to be wonderful, but because he looked into the camera and with a sincere expression on his face said he was going to unite the country. And I realized later that just wasn't going to happen. So in 2024, I just did not vote for a presidential candidate. I could not vote for Donald Trump, and I was not going to vote for Kamala Harris. All right, so with that said, let me make an observation and then ask my question. I spent 28 years in the military, 7 years as a defense contractor in military operational business. So I can tell you that Murphy's Law prevails wherever you are and no matter what is going on. And as I watched President Trump in the Middle East just in the last few days expand and expound on what a great situation this was, I cringed. I thought this is premature. We have to be more careful. There's so much more to occur, and it's just not the right thing to do to approach this. And you guys covered that very well this morning, and all of the things that can go wrong. And if they can go wrong, they will go wrong. All right. So here's my question on a completely unrelated area. Chicago and Portland. I watch the videos and I see the confrontations, and I'm just really disturbed. So the question is, if Donald Trump, President Trump, were to say, you know what, we're going to back out of this. We're going to allow Chicago to do whatever they're going to do, and we're going to let Portland do whatever they're going to do. Then, how would that be received? Would that be a smart move? Would it be strategic? How would that affect the dynamics? I see a continued impasse and not a good situation for anyone right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think how it would be received is in both instances, the political leaders would say, basically get out, right? It's if we need your help, we'll ask for it, and we haven't. I don't know how constituents would feel, because I do think there are people in both cities who feel like, hey, I don't like Trump, but like this is kind of good that it's stabilized and might be, safer. I think the long term, if you cannot solve the crime problem and the homeless problem and the open drug use, you will get voted out of office. And I think that's the issue that lurks underneath all of this. Is you can blame Donald Trump for showing up, but at some point you have to deal with the issue or the issues, and they're real.
I agree with Dan. There was a guy on DC television the other day. Sorry, I'm actually typing in the chat.
No
So,
snack.
what's that?
No
How do you
snack.
how do you
No,
type
no,
in
no,
the
there's zero.
how do you type in the chat if you don't read it?
I know. That's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah.
Although I admit my chat.
Yeah.
He just has a thought and he puts it out there.
Yeah.
So look, the thing that was interesting is this gentleman who I believe lived in Ward 8, which is like Anacostia in DC, was saying, look, I like this, but I'm more worried about the long term, because this is what Dan's getting at. Like the guard can be there. It's very helpful. It's a calming presence. If you go down to Union Station in DC, it's actually safe now. But at some point you can't do it. And the city needs to grapple with, what are we going to do? Right. And that's the bigger, broader problem, is that crime is a problem. It's being addressed. But if you stop addressing it, you pull the guard out or whatever, the federal agents, it's going to manifest itself back again. And so there's a broader issue that needs to be addressed. Like, what are we doing to tackle crime and in the long term? And that's where the Democrats, I think, after defunding the police and going after decriminalizing all these things, the message sort of was like, hey, we went too far, but they still need to keep going, which is how do we get back into keeping these cities safe? Trump is giving them a lifeline to some extent by saying, hey, I'll help you, and they're resisting it. But even the ones that are, like, there's still a broader, longer term question about how do we do this?
Well, and I appreciate that. And what I didn't say before was I am as frustrated with Pritzker and Johnson as I am with President Trump. Their tolerance for this violence and disruption is just I just can't accept that.
Yeah, Carlton, thank you for your
Well
service.
said.
Thank you for your kind words about the platform and for being part of Two-Way. Thank you.
Something I hadn't thought about, Carlton, that he just said, how many people are frustrated with both. That's never asked in questions. It's always A or B. There's never a C. I bet C would be high.
Yeah. Sam, how's that baby?
Hey,
Oh, look at the
baby
shirt,
is good.
Sam. I like it.
Hey,
and I
well
am
done.
Rocking my sleek Fairway and Green polo.
Sam, have you owned Fairway and Green products before this?
No. I was unaware of the brand until.
Tell people how well made they are, how comfortable it is. We didn't rehearse this. I just want your honest opinion.
3, 2, 1.
You know, I'm a golfer. I've been a golfer since I was 8 years old, and I can tell you this is probably the most comfortable polo that I've ever worn. I haven't slept in it yet.
Yeah, but what do you mean? What do you mean by probably? I'm going to press you. It is the most comfortable, right?
I'm trying. I've never worn a more comfortable polo, and I wear some pretty big name brands.
Yeah.
Like quite expensive shirt.
I
actually just recently bought a pretty expensive shirt, and this is much more comfortable. So I love it, and I will try the sleep test.
Yeah, I mean, look, not everybody's heard of the brand.
Collars are tough.
Not everybody's heard of the brand, but once you put one on, you're ruined for everything else. It's just more comfortable.
I don't know what they, I think it's bamboo, right? Or I don't know.
It's magic. Whatever it is, it's magic.
It's magical. It just feels great.
Have you worn it in public?
Yes, I have. I absolutely have.
And the people say, "Oh, Two-Way."
I haven't had that yet because I've only worn it to the grocery store one time.
Okay, all right.
I got it last week. I wore it 2 days in a row because I liked it so much.
Did you just buy the one?
So far, yeah.
All right, I recommend
the code Two-Way 20, right?
Yeah. I recommend the boxers. The boxers are the best boxers I've ever had.
And dollar for dollar, even on regular price, I think this is absolutely the best bargain.
All right. Well, we're honored to have you see you wear it, and we're grateful to you. But everything you're saying is true. It's great stuff. Anyway, welcome in.
I'll definitely be buying more.
Okay. Now tell us about your boy.
The boy is doing great. He just left for school. He is 2.5 years old. He can count to 109. He knows all his letters so far. So it's fun. Like we're like tiger parents. So it's a lot.
That's awesome. 109 is good. He could read Kamala Harris's book and narrate the whole thing.
Probably
with 2 days to spare.
Yeah, he would probably make as much sense of it as any adult would, really, because it's
awesome. Well, thank you for coming back and let us know what's on your mind.
Yeah, I just wanted to, Sean, I love you, man, but
get ready, Sean.
The whole Politico text thing, there as a person who's somewhat conservative, I've voted for both parties, but when I talk to friends of mine that demean me as a Black person for voting right, they say, these people don't care about you. They don't like you. And I judge everyone on individual on individual interactions. That's the way I was raised. And to not see a more vociferous and aggressive call out for this kind of language is super disappointing. We know that this exists in the darkest quarters of our society, generally speaking, but we should take the soil on which this kind of conversation can happen and salt it. Someone, J.D. Vance, who I really, really like and really hope is the next president of the United States, really, I mean, just to see the type of response he gave, like, why not just be aggressive and say, this shit should not fly. This
Yeah.
shit should not fly in our Republican Party. Lead. You are presumably the next leader of the Republican Party. It's not okay. Just say it. Just say it. Don't. There's pros and cons to Trump's ability to take terrible things that he said and just not apologize, and it seems like that's sort of become the norm in politics today, and people think that, okay, this is the way that things should go, but the truth is Trump is just a different kind of animal, and he gets away with that stuff for whatever reason. And
it's what people don't like about him a lot too, by the way. It's one of the things you hear it on this program for a year and a half, right? I wish he'd be quiet. I wish he wouldn't do that,
Sam, and my message to Republicans going forward is, this is something that Trump has been able to get away with, but it's not okay. We should not make this a normal part of society. You say something completely vile, or we hear about people saying things that are completely vile, and we try and just march through. No.
Okay, so Sam, can we just let me go down a rabbit hole with you for a second. So first of all, I hope that you heard, or that I shouldn't even say that. I hope I was very clear in my condemnation of those comments, right? It's never acceptable to refer to people like that. There's no jokes it's funny. There's no, I was trying to be it's unacceptable, right? The use of some of those words is vile, disgusting, unacceptable, full stop, never, right? That's my view on it. And those people, those young Americans should know better. The idea that it's ever acceptable to try to be funny, or frankly, as I said earlier, I don't know if they're trying to be funny or if they're just stupid, but it's one of the two. And regardless, it's unacceptable. You should never joke about and if you weren't being funny, then you are really stupid. And the idea that that's what you think is wrong and unacceptable in my party and in my country. Okay, full stop, never. Okay. And I think you're right. We should be clear on that. That should be the first thing out of our mouths. As Republicans, as conservatives, the young Republicans put out a brilliant statement yesterday that I thought was very clear, unequivocal. This is not acceptable in our organization. No one should be part of it, never mind have a leadership position in this. Okay, that's 100% clear. There's two additional things that I feel, though, as a conservative. And again, one, I felt like that was Politico's view of, okay, the Democrats said some bad stuff. We're going to go hunt to find a text group of just to find some kind of, that was like, you've got to be kidding. So you're just trying to find a way to deflect from what Jay Jones said. That was how I viewed that Politico story. You're going to find a bunch of young kids on an app that are having a stupid conversation and trying to put it out there like, oh, now we're going to go. That same media organization is now going to every Republican and saying, what do you think about this, when they didn't do the same to Jay Jones? And I'm like, there is a difference between saying stupid and offensive things and advocating for the murder of an individual and then wishing the mother of a child sat there and watched their kid die. Those, both bad things. Murder ranks much higher than offensive, right? I mean, I can be stupid.
Well, they advocated for murder too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't. I will tell you this.
Sean, if I'm just we're up against the clock. So,
Sam, I'll just say I totally agree with you. Just use common sense, and I think I've said this all week. The JD Vance in 2 interviews this week personifies the Donald Trumpification of the party, which is never apologize, never give in, and always be on offense and always be punching. And I agree with you. And it's bad for Trump when he does it. It's one of the things people don't like about him. I don't think JD Vance had a good week.
And I'm not concerned about what happens to these kids. Whatever happens. It's the leaders who I'm trying to hold.
Yeah, and I agree. I get your point.
Yeah, Sam. One reason we so value as a member of the community is you spoke with passion and you were articulate, but not any anger, and that's what we're all about. So thank you for being part of 2A and for making that point, and for buying the shirt. Buy another one. Have a great day, Sean. What do you have tonight? We're real quick here.
Glenn Beck and Senator Eric Schmidt of Missouri. So big show tonight. Got to see Glenn yesterday at the White House. So it's
Meghan McCain on YouTube at noon today with her Cheryl Hines interview. 6 p.m. tonight, I'll be here with former Biden-Harris Obama advisor Ashley Etienne and Republican Matt Whitlock. And don't forget next up, and I'll be on Smirconish Now. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.